Hello, thanks for joining us on your channel of choice at this time, Africa Independent Television Reality. Welcome to Focus Nigeria, your program that puts the searchlight on topical issues in the polity. My name is Benga Aruleba. Glad to be here this morning. The Senate has opened a new flank for yet another round of executive-legislative face-off, but somehow the senators are right this time. Well, substantially so, because if you put all the issues in contention here in a box, the legislators are not right on all the issues. In fact, on the issues on which they are very, very fallible and very wrong, they have been most irrational and bellicose. They are angry? Oh, yeah, sorry. But yes, to the ones on which the senators are right, the senators opened yesterday's plenary feeling very gutted and ready for war with the executive, and their grounds had to do with the failure of the executive to act on some decisions of the Senate as it relates to screening and confirmation of nominees for executive offices. The request of the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, for the confirmation of Mr. Lanre Gbajabiamila as the Director General of the National Lotteries Commission sparked off this bitter feud yesterday, and the senators were unsparing in their comments. Even senators of the APC were the most vitriolic in their comments. But as I said, these senators are full of drama many a times, and sometimes where they are right, they over-dramatize it.
Requesting for confirmation of yet another nominee from the federal government. I recall that at one time, a statement was issued by the same acting president that the Senate has no power to confirm outside the provision of the Constitution. So I really don't know whether now the acting president is changing his statement or his action by this letter.
Mr. President, in a civilian democracy, there is nothing like executive orders. Things are treated according to the provision of the Constitution. You don't wake up a day and say you've appointed somebody, maybe by an executive order. If the Constitution foresees that there can be acting persons, officers in government, in the department of government, then it would have also given us clearly that there should be acting officers in government where the Senate fails to confirm a nominee.
If we are not able to stand and face these challenges, I think there will be a time when somebody will even tell you that you don't even have right to come to the National Assembly. So we have to, as a matter of this National Assembly, we must learn to stand and speak the truth no matter the blackmail.
Every act that specifies confirmation of any appointment is the law of the land. Nobody, not the president, not the vice president, not the Senate president, nobody has the right to avoid obeying that law. If you see here, this section, the Lottery Commission is not stated here. And if Lottery Commission is not stated here, EFCC is not stated here, because it's not a federal executive body. The Customs is not stated here, because it's not a federal executive body. But Section 154 says that the President shall appoint these persons, and then, of course, the Senate will confirm. It only means that the executive is aware that outside the provision of Section 153 of this Constitution, which is the establishment of federal executive bodies, the laws establishing these agencies, very clear, because they have been established by Act of National Assembly, and their provisions is that anybody that is so appointed shall be confirmed by the Senate. Why are they shying away from it?
And I want to say this. The leadership, if the leadership doesn't do anything on this matter within 48 hours, we'll move against leadership. I'm serious, and I'm serious about it. I am serious about it. We must make sure that all those who have rejected are not working.
Do suspend all issues relating to the confirmation of nominees from the executive onto the issues of confirmation as contained in the Constitution and laws of the Federation is strictly adhered to. Those in favor of prayer, one say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. The acting president must respect the Constitution and the laws enacted by National Assembly as it relates to confirmation of appointments. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3. The acting president should immediately swear in the electoral resident commissioner confirmed by the Senate. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. Nays have it. Prayer 4. The acting president should immediately respect the rejection of the nominees by the Senate. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
You see what I mean when I say even when they are right, they over-dramatize it. How can a senator of the standing of Senator George Sekibo, who is not a rookie, is the two-term senator, I think, argue and submit that in a democracy there's no room for executive orders? Is our democracy bigger than that of the United States of America, where Donald Trump, in less than 6 months in office, has signed how many executive orders? Anyway, now let me tell you why the senators are angry, and perhaps rightly so. Now, that's on this issue of appointments. Now, on March 28, I think, President Muhammadu Buhari nominated Stephen Ocheni and Suleiman Hassan as ministers to replace James Ocholi, SAN, from Kogi State, and Mrs. Amina Mohammed from Gombe State. Now, you remember James Ocholi died in a car accident on March 6, 2016, and so Kogi State has had no minister since then. Amina Mohammed was appointed Deputy United Nations General Secretary on February 24 this year, and so Gombe State too has had no representation in the cabinet since then. On May 3 this year, that is just about a month after the nominations. The nomination was actually in February. May 3, a month after the nominations, the Senate did the needful, screened and confirmed the two ministerial nominees. That's since May 3rd. Today, more than 2 months after, these two ministerial nominees are yet to be sworn in and given portfolios. And then you wonder why. Kaba at work? Right, that's case one. Another one, sometime in March this year, President Buhari nominated 27 eminent persons for confirmation by the Senate as resident electoral commissioners. On May 3rd, the Senate in plenary referred the nominees to its committee on INEC for screening. Don't forget that 6 of the 27 nominees had served before in that capacity between 2010 and 2015. Now, more than a month ago, the Senate screened and confirmed the first batch of 15. And it was not until just last week, late last week, that the presidency formally announced their appointment. And even then, the number had become 14 and not 15 that the Senate screened and confirmed. Now, what has happened to the 15th nominee, Sadiq Abubakar Musa, that's the nominee from Kaduna State, who has been screened and confirmed by the Senate? Now, here is what the Senate Committee on INEC said about Sadiq Abubakar Musa, that's the REC nominee from Kaduna State. And I'm quoting. Now, the nominee conducted one of the most applauded elections in 2011 in Yobe State with so much huge refund to INEC coffers. In Sokoto State in 2015 without any court case. In the course of interaction between the committee and the nominee, the members were convinced of his suitability as a resident electoral commissioner. Now, I have quoted verbatim from the report of the Senate Committee on INEC submitted since May. Now, in respect of the 15 recs that have been screened so far, don't forget that the nominees had also been cleared by all the relevant agencies, even before their names were forwarded to the Senate. So, you ask, that a man found worthy to be nominated by the president, first of all, for appointment, has been screened, found worthy and confirmed by the Senate, and his name then was forwarded back to the executive for confirmation. And some powerful forces have decided to remove his name from the list they pass on to the acting president, simply because the president who made the initial appointment, well, it's not on ground. People are playing games with that, so you can then understand the feelings of our senators and why they are up in arms against the executive. Because even as a person, ordinary Nigerian who has the constitutional responsibility and duty of holding these people in government accountable to you, the people, I'm already feeling very gutted myself. And before I do what will ask them there, let me just leave that issue and then move to another issue that had also gotten me so upset. But after my inquiries from highly placed sources in the security, I'm showing some restraints and understanding on this issue this morning. And is the plight of 6 students of the Lagos Model College in Igbola in Ekpe, Lagos, who were abducted, now wait for it, 42 days ago. Yes, 42 days ago. These helpless and hapless students, sons of poor people, have been in the den of kidnappers who abducted them from their school 42 days ago and have been keeping them in the creeks since then. Now, I was going to come hard on our security agencies this morning, but my inquiries and assurances I got from some security sources, indeed a lot has been happening, which they are keeping away from the media. That's how it should be on this issue. And that's what has tempered my anger this morning. And so I will just urge all of us, parents particularly, and all of us generally, good people of a good nation, of a, what do they call it that? Good people of a great country. Okay, for all of us to team up and pray for the safety of these poor students, and that God should touch the hearts of these vicious and despicable elements who are keeping them. All right, I will reserve the rest of my gunpowder for tomorrow about these senators, so not that I'm through with them, and I will tell them where they are wrong. All right, our discussion is up next. Now, last week, the acting president signed another executive order. That's the 4th since he became acting president. The executive order number 4 of 2017 is titled Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme, and is about a resolve of a government to enforce a constitutional duty on every citizen to declare his or her income fully and honestly, and to pay appropriate taxes as required by extant laws. But the statistics will shock you. Now, here we go. Only just about 14 million adult Nigerians pay tax. And even then, majority of them are forced by circumstances to pay, as the taxes are deducted as source from their salaries. And so, given a different scenario, they probably wouldn't be paying. Now, as part of moves to diversify the economy, tax has become one revenue stream the federal government is giving a very serious thought to. Government officials are upbeat that as much as $1 billion could be raked in within the first 6 months of an amnesty from prosecution for tax defaulters if they pay up. But why are we not paying tax as a people? Why are we not a tax-paying people? Could this policy have been better captured as a law instead of a mere policy? Now, these are many more are just our talking points this morning. So join us in the discussions which will start shortly after this break.
They see chaos and conflicts. We see community action for good governance. They see poverty and want. We see perseverance and the will to go on. They see economic law. We see the ingenuity and creative spirit of our people. We are AIT News, fresh, authentic views of Africa. How would you rather see the world? AIT News, all sides, all the time. They see chaos and conflicts. We see community action for good governance. They see poverty and want. We see perseverance and the will to go on. They see economic law. We see the ingenuity and creative spirit of our people. We are AIT News, fresh, authentic views of Africa. How would you rather see the world? AIT News, all sides, all the time.
Oh, sorry about that. If you're just joining us, a very warm welcome to you. We're starting this morning's conversation now, and I can see that you are already part of the conversation. So let's keep the conversation going on our social platform. A lot of tweets are pouring in, expectedly so. Let me introduce the main discussant this morning. Mr. Paul Alaje is lead economist, SPM Professionals. Good to see you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Representative Linus Okore FCA is a fellow of what?
Not chartered accountant.
Fellow of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. ICAN. Okay. He's a member representing Ohazora Onitsha, Ivo Federal Constituency area of Imo State.
Ebonyi State.
Ebonyi, sorry. My apologies. Beyond that, Honorable Okore is the chairman, House Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Honorable.
Thank you, Benga.
Thank you so much. Let's start with some issues that I raised in my prologue. First of all, this executive order number 4, would it have been better? Sorry, Mr. Laja, that I'm not going from here to here, but I'll come to you. Could it have been better if it was not left at the realm of a policy? Because I'm doing this because I listened to the opinion of one senator there that executive orders are a no-no in a democracy, even though that would seem to have a very big question hanging over it. But would this particular issue have been better if it was captured in a law as against in a policy that is not, has no form and vary from time to time? Yeah,
definitely, Benga. Thank you very much. Exactly, you just took the word. It should have been better captured as a law, because you're going to offer immunity from the operation of existing or the import or the repercussion of violation or non-compliance of an extant law. Yeah. And there's not, if you look through the prescription, even the introductory part of that executive order number 4, he just talked about the Constitution. He never said, based on this section of the Constitution or this section of any existing law, I am deriving this power. What is done is to do what tax agencies, authorities usually do, to use discretion to grant waivers. But this is actually the point. 2 weeks before that order, I proposed to be on the floor of National Assembly, which shortened is the voluntary taxable income declaration and recovery and amnesty scheme. And it was intended exactly to create an opportunity for people to come forward, those who are not paying taxes, those who have revenue that have not been declared to the system, to come forward to the Chamber of Federal Inland Revenue Service and declare under a guideline to be provided by the CBN such incomes and revenues so that they can obtain some amnesty. Unfortunately, the first media report that came out of it took only the point that people who looted money from government, and they start calling a looter's bill. The truth is that, as I mentioned, the title is voluntary taxable income.
I've seen your bill.
The presidency order.
The title is also spot on with the title of the
exactly.
And
what I'm saying is, my bill shouldn't pass, it mustn't pass the way it's proposed. But the thing we should start talking about, we have a situation that has failed us. Structures have failed us. The issue of the anti-corruption agencies and all of them. Ibori's case, we investigated it here, found him non-culpable, so to say. Just right across from Dubai onto Britain, he went to jail on the same matters. Siemens matter and all of them, you can call them. The other side, prosecutorial approach to recovering these monies for those that need to be recovered, or even to track the issue of non-compliance with tax laws, has also seemed to have failed us. Because the legal threshold you need to convict a person or an entity sometimes goes far beyond the structural deficiencies or technicalities that we have. And that's not just limited to us. It applies also even on international platform. Because we have cases of our monies that still lie in America, that's lying in Switzerland, that we can't bring back because of legal injunctions there and economic obstacles. So actually, this should have come as a bill, and I think that bill should be processed.
You meted this bill
2 weeks
before
exactly.
This executive order was
exactly.
But the executive will tell you that they have been on this issue of amnesty for tax defaulters since March. Because I noticed that since March, the executive chairman of Federal Inland Revenue Services,
he initially granted a waiver. He even granted a waiver. He even gave 3 months for people to comply.
Yeah.
But you know, a bill does not come in a month.
Yeah.
I've been on this since 2007.
Since 2007?
Yeah, that when
Nigerians blame you in the National Assembly for not helping the system. These are the kind of
I was in National Assembly in 2007. I was an ordinary president. I was worrying about the situation where so much is out.
But the bill to the member representing you that time.
It's not
for him to push as a private
even
member.
as it is now. I had the idea. Yeah. It's an amorphous idea.
But yeah,
you have
to
keep,
get your
yes, of course, I have to
put
even put it together as
a
in the form as a bill. It's not you are a lawyer, you know exactly.
It's not easy. But on the side,
yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, or correct the senator if he's wrong as well.
Okay.
In a democracy, is there room for executive order?
No. Section 3155 gives preserved the right of executive to make certain things that can be quasi laws, as a matter of fact.
So,
but there's
so
sense of
room for executive order.
But it's not used to replace law.
Yes,
it should be used to clarify and create an environment for better operation of laws. But what this particular one did is to arrest the operation of law.
He did?
Of course.
Right. Yes. We'll come back to that. Would you like to start with the last issue? Because I know that if you are talking of democracies, America will probably rank far, far higher than Nigeria on the pecking order in terms of democracy. And I know that since January, President Donald Trump has signed uncountable numbers of executive orders, even though in most of the cases, the courts have struck them down. But it is a feature of democracy.
Yes. I would like to say very clearly that executive orders are permitted in democracy. However, what the orders will be doing is a different issue entirely. And that is why we need to challenge Nigerian lawyers who read in between lines of policies and also instruments issued either by executive or legislature to take the case to court. You would recollect that a few years ago, when you park your vehicle in some place in Abuja, there were people who would come and collect some money from you.
In fact, they will actually encourage you to park there.
Yes.
At the moment you leave, they clamp
the car. But you see what happened. A lawyer went to court because of dissatisfaction. He was asked to pay some amount of money because his vehicle was clamped. And he said, well, there is no provision for this. No act of National Assembly has passed this. The House of Representatives, I think, is the one that legislates for FCT. And also, there is no law in the Constitution that permits you to do that. He went to court, he got a judgment on his side, and that was scrapped. Now, what this is supposed to be doing in itself is a good thing, because taxation is like oxygen in every government. It's like oxygen that we take in and hydrogen that is released. We cannot have infrastructure in place. We cannot have the kind of development in place if we don't look at how to generate revenue for government. However, the method with which you want to generate revenue, it's a different issue entirely. I strongly believe that this should have been a law than just being a policy or executive order, because that is bound to change. You may have another government who is not disposed to this, or say the same government may now discover, then we have what we call policy somersault because of its inconsistency. But when it comes as law, it is relatively difficult. It's not as easy to change as it can be changed at any point in time right now.
Okay, so that's why it's easier to resort to executive orders.
Yes. It also tells us, if you look at America, there is this face-off between Mr. Donald Trump and the establishment. In Nigeria, I'm happy that we have the honorable here. We can say that relationship between the legislature and executive is not as smooth as we have had it in the previous periods.
Can I just say something about executive, and even in America? It's an interventionist thing. If you even look at the Trump experience, look at his emergence, look at the kind of thing he came on a populist campaign. And he found that even the establishment in America was not really, even his party wasn't with him. So he had to take certain action because the laws, there were gaps. The laws could not allow him implement the kind of changes he thought he needed to do, reform he wanted to do. I had to come with executive orders, hoping that the system will turn the other way, like we usually do in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But you find that there,
it is what we have to.
But there they don't turn the other way.
The executive is also afraid that if we do this and take it to these guys,
no.
This is what will happen.
Unfortunately, that's not. Let me conclude by saying that in Nigeria, this is also an interventionist in the what the Mr. Acting President did was, look, what do we do quickly to get some money? If I go for legislative, or it will take time. Naturally, law making must take time. If it doesn't take time, we make law that only serve certain interests and not everybody.
We don't have a time.
If we don't have the time, we must not get a solution immediately. For instance,
we have a pressing problem on our hands.
Yes.
We need to finance a budget of 2017 that has over 2 trillion?
2.56 trillion as capital.
Yes.
No. I'm even
Entire
talking
budget
about
is over
the
7
deficit.
Yeah,
Deficit,
about
but has
2.3
a huge
trillion.
deficit,
2.6.
and then has a capital, the largest capital
So far
budget
outlay.
so far. And we are
There's a solution. There's a solution. Luckily, I'm
Okay,
from
but
the
you
chamber.
said
See the
that
solution.
this law is stifling. I mean, this executive order is stifling existing laws.
It is assuming. Yeah,
what you said.
the tax laws, of course. What he has done.
How so?
Yes, the tax laws provide penalties, and even sometimes criminal liability for non-compliance with tax.
Isn't that a long drawn battle when you go to somebody's house to arrest him for defaulting in tax payment? You have to first of all investigate, gather your evidence, and then charge him to court.
Does that sort take away the fact that procedure and law must be complied with? No,
if there's a quick fix is that I know that you have done this, I can prosecute you, but I know that you also have loopholes that you may. That there are so many lawyers
that is the proposal I have as a law.
But is a law.
The law. Remember, there were 6 economic bills that were brought by this government to National Assembly. They have been passed and signed.
Has any one of them addressed this issue?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the areas he focused. What I'm trying to say is that with proper understanding and explanation in National Assembly, that we need this to work immediately. It has been done. 6 are passed and signed already. 1 more can be passed and signed with proper collaboration and understanding.
Will people in the National
Why
Assembly?
Why not? We passed the other ones.
See, let me tell you one thing. There are 27 resident electoral commissioners nominated. As we speak, I think only 1 state has a resident electoral commissioner. The election plan for 2019 has already been rolled out. It has started with a nationwide continuous voter registration exercise. It's already ongoing. It's already been abused because there are no ranks to take charge and supervise that procedure. Yet, in the name of flexing muscle with the executive, the National Assembly says it has stopped action on all of that.
No, it's not flexing muscle. It's already you're into 16 were cleared.
Yes.
Have you even assigned them?
They have. They have assigned 50. They have assigned 14.
You assigned them. You sworn them
14 out of the 15.
They have been assigned.
They don't need to be sworn in. They have been assigned.
Okay, they have been assigned.
Yes.
The other people that need to be screened, whatever they have not passed, there may be petition against them.
No, they are screening them. They are screening them, but the report is not
out.
laid.
And now look at this issue. You say they're flexing. It's not flex of muscle. This is constitutional interaction. If the constitution says you shall appoint and I shall screen, and you have appointed and I have screened and rejected, for instance, in one instance, and you brought back I screened and rejected, and I didn't reject on the basis of any reasons internal to me, on the basis of report that came from you. Yet you keep that person. Who is flexing muscle? Who is flexing muscle? Must the legislature lie down for the executive to work on?
No. They gave a reason why they are not doing that in that particular instance. And one had expected that any of the 2 arms who feel strongly about his position should go to court.
We have an attorney general who represents all. If the attorney general is present, go seek interpretation.
It's not the place of the attorney general to interpret the constitution.
No, to seek interpretation. I said to seek interpretation.
The National Assembly can.
Well, we don't
go to court.
We are confident that we are standing on our powers.
How can you be the one to interpret the constitution?
No, we're not interpreting. We are operationalizing the only aspect of our powers, and you might to confirm that by the Senate.
No,
and
you're not getting the point is, yes, you are invoking a particular constitutional provision that this section of the constitution allows you to screen and confirm. Yes. The executive says, okay, we made a mistake by sending this particular nomination to you. It fell under this category that didn't need confirmation of the Senate. So we are admitting that we made an error. So there are 2 interpretations of a particular provision of the Constitution. Any of you could go to court and ask the third arm to interpret that constitutional provision.
May I ask, the EFCC case, for instance, how does it come outside the confirmation of the National Assembly?
But that's the belief. And they are quoting a section of the Constitution.
No,
you are also quoting that same section of the Constitution.
It is them. They brought it twice, not once. You don't make
it doesn't matter.
They brought it twice. If they feel, let them. What would it cost of 180 million Nigerians? Only one person must be in a position when there's a contest between 2 arms. Why don't you, in the interest of generate everybody, okay, let somebody else act, let's play wait, you go to court and get it. When you get your interpretation, you bring him back.
All right. I know I won't win with that point because Mr. Alaje, I've kept you out of this for too long. But let us not even go into that field of legislative, executive face-off here. Let's confine ourselves to the issue of taxation. I'm still wondering why the government has to, because for me, executive order, this is a kind of knee-jerk approach.
Yeah, a quick one.
A knee-jerk approach to a problem. Beyond the executive order, are there other things that the government could have done if just a mere 14 million Nigerians are paying tax, and even at that, it is because they are compelled to pay because they have no control over the process. If they probably have a control, they will probably have fewer than 14 million paying tax. Why are Nigerians not paying tax, and what can the government do beyond this amnesty?
Nigerians are not paying tax because Nigerians have been made an institution of government, the third tier of government. I hear that one of the resolutions of the national conference is perhaps maybe to reduce to reconsider the local government, their status. But when you look at Nigeria, I don't know that where you live, most homes, they provide their own water. They provide the road from the federal road. Yeah. They provide power. They buy fuel and all that.
Provide security.
They provide security also for themselves. So when you look at a lot of these, there is costs. These are the things that people should have received because they live within a community or within a country. But that is not what they have. I remember that I spoke with one of my friends who is consulting for one of the states, revenue generation board, and he said they should go to one of the farmlands of some persons because the state is purely, they have a lot of farmers in the state. And they went there, the people were beaten. They were beaten by the farmers because they felt the road to even export, to our produce, they are not good. The best thing a governor could give us are wheelbarrows. We wheelbarrows that are given to our children be enough. So it was a major face-off. And I also understand, I also realized that your television station, this platform, also displayed the dispute between the locals and also the tax collector. So what we are saying is that Nigerians, in all honesty, should pay tax. And I can also tell you, Nigeria would like to pay tax. Let me ask you this question. If you find yourself in Dubai and you are doing this same work, there is an AIT in Dubai. Would you voluntarily?
And they are paying my salary is regular.
And your salary is regular.
Yes.
Would you voluntarily want to pay tax in a place like that?
Sure.
Because the cost of livelihood, the cost of living has automatically reduced. The cost of living in Nigeria is so high, is so huge. That's the reason why many people are not paying taxes. But that aside, the law is the law. You have to pay taxes. A lot of people don't also know. You find out that they say the rich don't pay taxes. From the politicians up, the politician top there, down, they said they don't pay taxes. And if they pay taxes, it's only on their basic allowance. The other allowances, taxes are not applicable because tax is supposed to be on income. But there are other things the rich do, which average person may not know. If you place your fund on fixed deposit, for instance, bank are supposed to give you interest. 10% of the interest is withdrawn. They call it withholding tax. The withholding tax itself is not tax paid on your investment. You are supposed to use that withholding tax to clear your tax liability, which a lot of people don't do. So if you do treasury bill, CBN publish treasury bill bonds from time to time, if you put that 10% withdrawal, it means that when you now speak with a chartered accountant, or you speak with anybody, which I think chartered accountant could help you with, they would look at your tax liability and advise you that this is what you have to pay. Very simply, just take that withholding tax and present it. If it is more than, recently the FRS has stopped. Before now, it used to be not more than 1 year. But that is the grievance I have because I see no reason why you should limit people to 1 year tax payment. Because you want to, now it also becomes unfair on the people that are paying taxes. So the tax, the withholding tax that people have given to the banks, money you just have there lying down in the bank account could actually help you. The interest, the return of such money could be used to pay taxes. So that's
what about withholding taxes that are not within the banking system, that are in offices and don't even get to the tax officer?
It is your right.
If you do business with government, you don't understand what I'm
I understand
saying.
you.
You get a contract from government. When it is time to pay, they withhold an amount. They tell you it's withholding tax.
Yes.
That withholding tax at the end of the year doesn't get to the tax collector. Doesn't get to the tax office. That office sits on it. It's part of what they share at the end of the year as end of year package.
Let me tell you my own experience. One financial institution, one of the agencies of government, they charged withholding tax. And 3 months after, we wrote formally and we applied for the receipt of the withholding tax. Can we get the document? And they started running from pillar to pole. Withholding tax. And I said, you see, I grant a lot of interviews on national television and radio. And I will mention this in the public. And you know what? One of them carefully went to FIRS the same week. And they started paying, and they started issuing the paper. I said, but this is not the day. We had the contract. He said, Mr. Alaje, please, we don't want trouble.
Just take the receipt. You want that receipt, just take and go.
And a lot of Nigerians who don't know are victim of this. What we could, you know, people want to be, I say that paying tax is a thing of pride. Nigerians want to say, people say it on because I'm a taxpayer. In the real sense, the person is not a taxpayer. Yeah. And the person could be a taxpayer. So I see we should do more in terms of education. But that said, this issue of a voluntary tax, payment of tax,
that kind of moratorium or amnesty.
The intention here is to increase, is to broaden tax nets. About 14 million people are paying taxes. How do we increase the number of people paying taxes? And once you have paid once, forget it. FRS, we have their way of tracing you to keep paying. Unless if you write to them that maybe your number of employees have reduced and they come to verify and see that the number has truly reduced. But they will keep coming, and even if you say you have not made any business, there is what they call minimum tax, which also it's some sum of revenue for government. So I think there should be more enlightenment. I know FRS is doing a lot in terms of people awareness. They are on several platforms for people to know that this is. But I would also want them to take the option of drama, because most people that do petty businesses, they watch African content, Nigerian content in terms of movies and all of that. Yeah. How can they chip in, play like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and make it across board? Then more people will have understanding about taxation.
Let me just talk about taxation. Briefly, just briefly.
Okay, and then I'd like you to speak to your bill, because I've seen a lot of differences in it and what is in the executive order. Your bill covers just income tax. It doesn't cover. No, that's all I said.
Let me come first on tax. Okay. Yes, only 14 million Nigerians
pay tax.
Out of that, most of them are civil servants, 14 million.
That's pay.
I mentioned that because of what? There's a record-keeping process that captures them into a process and a database. Most Nigerians don't pay tax. Not because they have to pay for all of these other services themselves. It's because there's no way of tracking them. If NIMSI were to succeed, and the national identity card covers, say, 50% of Nigerians, and we have a database that's reliable, you naturally pay tax, because then, just like the Inland Revenue has introduced the TIN,
tax identification number.
Exactly. Yeah. It will now be embedded and synchronized with your card, in which case you can't run away. And at that point, whatever you do, like those social security, anything you do in those countries is your number, it's not your name. Yeah. And that's what TIN does. And that's what I was doing. So that is the major reason we don't have a database. We can't know who is who. We don't know who is doing what.
And we are not about to have
so even if you are a petty trader and you are in a database, whenever anything happens, there's a capture of economic transactions. The issue about the withholding tax, what was described, but for now, with this introduction and implementation of TIN, it's no longer the same. There's an automatic capture. If you like, for instance, take your company. If you have most agencies now are forced, because the oversight by the revenue authorities is much higher and sharper. So you can't get paid in any agency without your giving your TIN number. So with that TIN number automatically on it, and they are forced, because of the constant check, they make reports on what contract they are giving, what payment they have done, both to CBN, both to Accountant General's office, and all of that is now synchronized. So if you now go as a company and you want to do, maybe you want to think you can cheat the system and do a financial annual report statement, audited account, for instance, assuming some people want to go and get quacks to present that they are auditors, and go and just put anything. Once they key in your TIN, they'll find all the payments that were done to you from the day you got a TIN through agencies that pay in that regard. So that has been compressed. But how much is that? Then, but the issue about my bill, voluntary taxable income declaration, recovery and amnesty scheme. What is an income? An income, in the basic sense of it, is any earning you have made in whatever form. when you go further to personal income taxation, you talk about earned income and unearned income. For instance, if you're a staff of AIT, your salary is being paid, certain things automatically be your basic salary and certain allowances. But some people have what they call benefit in kind. You are given a house because of the kind of office you occupy within this edition. It's not put in. The law says that anything that's more than 20,000 naira rental value per annum will take 20,000 and keep for you as a relief. Anything above that, that is the rental value, will be added as an income for you. You're given like newspapers, certain things that there are amounts that are prescribed that is allowable. Those are allowable, they are reliefs. Above that is tax also. So anything you pay. Then if you have income from other sources,
like companies,
but no, even an individual has some income from other. Maybe you do some petty thing,
farming.
Yes, if you disclose, farming is exempt from tax.
Exempt, okay.
Exempt from tax.
Okay.
Yes, you bring that in. But companies, and how you do tax individuals? The first 20,000 naira after reliefs, 5%. The next 20,000, 10%. The next 40,000, 15%. The next 40,000, 20%. All these accumulate to 120,000. Any income, accessible income, over 120,000 is charged at 25%. The lowest in the world. That's another reason why we don't get money. Because you find CEOs...
At 25%, it is the lowest?
It is the lowest anywhere in the world. You know what taxation is? Taxation is your contribution to society for us to have a common services that will keep society moving.
Yeah, and
to provide you, to provide the environment.
So in those countries, because theirs is not a rental economy, they have to work for every dime they need to spend.
And then again, when you say that government, which is true, is not doing already enough, when you now consider that a man whose income is 1 million naira, from after 120, you charge him only at 25%. Why in a place like Germany, you have top brackets of up to 60-70% top bracket, and even in America. So when instead of him taking 1 million, paying government maybe half of it, you are still taking just 25% in Nigeria. You can see the quantity of money you're able to raise. Consider again that only few people are in that bracket. You can't deliver so much. Then on this note, income is everything you
I noticed that you had actually proposed that under this bill, income tax, you mean all taxes.
All taxes and any way you make money from. And that is where the contention came in. What about those who looted funds? That's where the contention comes. But the truth is that you cannot describe any income as a loot. It is an earning that has been considered and concluded to be illegitimate.
In which case you should not pay tax. You shouldn't pay tax on illegitimate earnings. You should forfeit everything.
Usually, you will not know until you have brought it in. When you look at the philosophy of this bill, the Thabo Mbeki panel found out that within 30 years, 1980 to 2009, Africa lost about $1.4 trillion to illicit financial flows. Oxfam has proven that Nigeria loses annually 12% of our GDP. This year, estimated GDP, $413.7 billion Nigeria. If you take 12% of that, talking somewhere in the region of 60-something, $70 billion.
Now you need to add on top of 400 or something that would have given you your accurate GDP.
And again, our budget for this year, which is the highest, is just $24 million. Yes. Convert. $24 million, that's what it is. At 305.
What fraction of the fire service in New York City is that?
So this is the point. So meanwhile, for this year alone, it's estimated that we're going to lose about $70 billion unaccounted for and unrecorded. And this has been happening if you take only 30 years ago and come to 2006. If you like, take an average of $100 billion as our GDP. Take 20% of it. You are saying $360 billion that is lost. My contention is our regulatory framework, infrastructure, and structural capacity has failed us. Police and all of them. The prosecutorial process has failed us, and we can see it every day.
So how is this law?
Because
I also have not seen where penalties are stipulated.
Let me come. There's no penalty. That's why it's an amnesty. And that's where the contention is. And I accept.
Amnesty is driven mostly on
compliance.
Yeah, and the belief that the person we voluntarily do
That is a voluntary declaration.
If we use amnesty as we have seen it in Nigeria,
Yes.
we declared amnesty. Oh, bring out your guns and all of that. But the guns,
No,
are still booming in Nigeria.
let me tell you. Let me tell you how I
from?
propose this. And it's not to operate as we operate. If law is passed today and signed today, it is things that happen from that day backwards that this law is intended to operate. And it's supposed to operate for only a short time. Look, you have taken all of this. You have not declared your income. You have earned money. Yeah. And we don't know.
No, we know that you did it.
You have an opportunity to come out and declare. It may be legitimate income. You're afraid you don't want to pay so much. It may be something. If it now comes that you prove that it is money from illegal sources, that's a different matter. But so much legal monies are out. As we speak, AMCON, about 100 people, Nigerians, are owing 2.3 trillion. The equivalent of our deficit. Remember, we're going to pay 1.5 trillion as servicing of our debt this year, 1.3 last year. And remember that our service of debt, especially external portion, is usually almost 100% implemented. So we have all this money. Can we stop being moralistic unduly and do something that is painful? Because if you don't do it, our hospitals are going down, infrastructure is going. They are taking, the money is being used again to challenge us and subtle us. We are using the little we have to face them in court and they win us. Can we do a short time gap and say, bring anything we can? And we now use it as a, and then learn lessons. Because if you tell me, I say, Bank A, if you send money back through Bank A, through intelligence and tracking, I can find out all that happened in your account all the time you had that bank. I can know what happened. Look at the issue of BVN. As at the time we started BVN in 2013, 2014, about 96 million bank accounts were existing in Nigeria, banks. As at February this year, only 51 million of those banks have been enrolled on BVN, having about 45 million accounts remaining. You can be sure how much that will be. It will be in trillions. Part of this bill is supposed that if it's passed, at the time it's passed, any account in the bank that is still without a BVN should be taken to the public till, because it means, of course, like CBN has classified it as no customer account. How they call them today.
And probably illicit.
And as it is today, what are they using it for? The banks use them to trade, cover their overnight difficulties.
Okay.
And then it's interventionist, only for a short time.
Okay. All of this is happening, Mr. Alaji. All of this is happening because the government is hard pressed. The government needs to 7.4 billion, 7.4 trillion budget this year. Trillion. And we are looking for how to finance it and all of that. So government is looking beyond oil. That's why tax and taxation has become an option now.
Yes.
Otherwise, if the money is still free flowing, nobody will think all of this. So we are forced to come back to this road not taken. But having not taken this road for a very long time, and we are now just trying to do that. I'm just wondering what the initial challenges will be. First of all, attitude. And again, this also depends on, I expect you to want to take advantage of them. Suppose you don't want to do it because you already have a loophole that you are citing. What could be the loopholes that Nigerians may want to capitalize on in this this amnesty period?
Well, the loopholes could be, as the document is, there is no sanction. There is no immediate sanction.
Could we fall back on the extant laws that created these different strands of taxation in the first place?
Yes, it's possible. It's possible to do that. But let me look at if I want to consider what could happen in the immediate. In an economy that is struggling, like our economy, we still have negative growth based on the last released result. The growth has not started going positive. What it means is that you need to push more money to the circulation. You need to push more money to the economy. Maybe that is why we have the largest capital expenditure projected in the budget. That's but if you now go back to the people and you want to collect more money, either by raising rates, that is, you still want to collect more from the people that are paying taxes, or increase the number of tax bracket, it has its own danger, no doubt. But as government is today, we all know that government is in a feast. The only other option we have is to go and print money, which means that the value of naira to the dollar will further go down, which is another option. So you borrow, you raise taxes. Those are the options that we are faced with. And we have to juggle between the two. we already rolled out a map of borrowing money, which the executive presented to the National Assembly. We have borrowed and borrowed and borrowed.
We have gone the way of bond. We have
yes, so and Sukuk is out, debt management, all manner are out right now. Which of course
that's Sukuk anyway.
Ethical
borrowing. But you know that there is danger.
I've been wanting to call you and ask you, this Sukuk I've been reading. What is it?
In all of that,
Sounds Japanese.
There is a lot of danger.
Islamic.
There is a lot of danger in overborrowing in an economy. That is why government have to go to what we call. So in all of these, at the macro level, Nigerians, we need to persevere. That is the truth. It's going to be a long road that will be painful, even if Nigeria Bureau of Statistics or CBN tomorrow says that we are out of recession. Money may not still be in the pockets of Nigeria. Prices of goods and or services will still be relatively higher until we adjust eventually to this new reality and want our economy to grow. And the benefit of this when everyone starts paying taxes is that we will now know that it is not business as usual by just asking one or two persons to represent us and just fall back and be watching from afar. At that time, because your fund, your contribution is what individuals are using to determine the course of action of government. So if the money is not well spent, you want to ask questions because of the pain you have contributed.
Exactly.
Or if you have not contributed, accountability will be higher.
Because that time it is money coming directly from
our pocket.
It's no longer oil money.
It's no longer oil money that belongs to. We say oil money belongs to all of us and all of that. So it's not going to be like that anymore. Right. So people will now want to ask government questions, and I know that at that time, even the kind of people we elect to offices will possibly change. Because if you are not accountable, then there is no point.
But let me tell you one reason why this relief.
Yeah, could you allow me to read just one or two things there, and then you say it. Oscar, Michael, sometimes I wonder what to have against the Senate. You have never seen anything wrong with the executive actions. That's wrong. I saw a lot of things wrong with the executive this morning, and I gave it to them. Tomorrow I'm going to give it to the Senate. So you can't stop me, Oscar. I'm doing it on your behalf because these are our direct representatives. I want the person representing me to represent me well, not represent himself. Any Long John, we've not paid tax yet. They have been looting our commonwealth. Paying tax will make them rape us dry to our marrow. That's not likely to. You just address that issue. Amogwala Babs, CFR, one thing is to give an order, another thing is the execution. How do we ensure officials who are supposed to act on the order comply? That's where I actually want us to end up. The government is already upbeat that within 6 months, we're expecting about $1 billion.
Yeah, I think that...
good intention, but execution.
Yeah, something in the bill says if you are under tax audit or investigation, that you can take advantage of it, come and negotiate and pay up, I will forgive you. I think that is one thing that may help. Because what will now happen is the Inland Revenue already has tax consultants who are used not for tax collection, but for investigation. They may now have to get more consultants to get out there, constitute a lot more investigations, which will now excite need to sit down at the table and discuss. And that is really the import. The issue of amnesty would work. Look at the matters of, say, the anti-corruption agencies. If you call them and ask them, how many of their major cases do they think, if the law were a little more liberal, that they would have gotten a spot on? There are so many. And remember that a man under investigation does not know how far you have gone until you reveal to him, which is when you go to court. If people are under investigation and they have opportunity, I mean big time, and they have opportunity, I don't know whether these people may get the last bit. And there's this law by the side, which is like the carrot side of the stick side. Yes, and I only have 6 months or 1 year. Let me go and declare this thing and get myself free. Because if this 1 year ends...
And also keep your name.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, after this amnesty, they may find the last bit that will convict me. And it's not just me, it's my family and my lineage. I think that is why I think there's need to pursue, in a form that's acceptable, a law to grant Brazil. Had it just this March, this April. They amended theirs and removed people in public office and politicians from benefiting from it. But you ask yourself, how many times do you find people, money being traced to them in their names? It's straight through companies that they deal with. So it is just like taking 6 and half a dozen. The truth is that America Switzerland, all of you have tried one form of amnesty over tax or the other. We can't run away from it. Let's put a lot together. The one that's acceptable to us.
We're out of time. Final comment as well.
Yeah,
Mr. Alaji.
What I would say is that it's a very good one.
Yeah, what can derail it?
Yes, what could derail it is the number of persons they have. I understand government has trained about 7,500.
Yeah, from the Empower.
For the Empower.
Taking 5,000 as a
yes.
tax liaison
officers.
That number is very small. And for my training, I don't think you can train somebody to. I don't know the extent of work. I must say that, but if you look at,
they are not going to be the one that will be determined.
Identify as probably.
It's just to sensitize you on the need for you to do this.
Okay,
they are not the one who will be the.
And maybe identify who's existing here and send forward.
Yeah, they are not going to be the tax assessors and all of that.
Good. That said, also I would also advise government, tax authorities to leverage on technology. Okay. We have BVN in place. What can BVN do for them? We have so many technology in place right now that they can use to synchronize accounts and also see how they can improve on that and see more people pay taxes naturally. But beyond that, instead of waiting for people to come and pay taxes, we should develop software. We have a lot of software engineers. Once you register with CAC and you open an account, Nigeria does not have up to 50 the deposit money bank. We have very few deposit money banks. As your transaction is going on, we can monitor, capture, and be sending you bill automatically. Then if you have contest, you can go back to government.
Thank you so much, Samson Adewale. I pray you practice what to preach tomorrow. Those PhD senators, they may corner you and threaten your life. For where? Me? Okay, no. Thank you so much. I've been joined in this morning's discussions by Mr. Paul Alaje, who is the lead economist at SPM Professionals. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Appreciate your time. And of course, Representative Linus Okore is the member representing Ohozara, Onitsha Evo Federal Constituency area of Ebonyi State. He is a House Committee Chairman on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And
by Nigerians.
Sorry that, well, you are not the one that I was attacking.
It's okay.
You are
it's
not
okay. No, that is institutional.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That's Focus Nigeria this morning. Thank you for investing your time with us. I'll see you tomorrow, God willing.